Welcome to the Cory Lee Show, where our focus is on building leaders and transforming culture. My name is Cory Lee, and in each episode, I aspire to ignite something on the inside of you that encourages you to grow yourself and to make an impact on the world around you. Welcome to the Cory Lee Show. Welcome back to the Cory Lee Show. Hey guys, I got an exciting episode today. This is a solo cast. Last few of, I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. That's where I got the opportunity to be on my wife's podcast, and you guys got to listen in. And today it is a solo podcast, and I'm just diving back into my book, Champion. The attributes of a champion is what we're talking about today. And this is honestly, this is probably one of my favorite chapters in the entire book. It's not as motivational and inspiring as some of the other chapters. But what I like about this chapter is, as I started thinking about what truly makes someone a champion on the field and off the field, I think there are definitely some traits. But I started thinking about what are some of those deep underlying traits that truly make someone a champion, someone worth following, someone who is bigger on the inside than they are on the outside. They are good at what they do. They do things with excellence, but they also are great at who they are. And so today we're talking about the attributes of a champion. One of my... You guys hear me all the time talking about Jim Rohn. I like Jim Rohn. Well, you know what? I got another Jim Rohn quote for you today. He says, "It's not what happens that determines the major part of your future." Hey, come on now. What happens, it actually happens to us all. It is what you do about what happens that counts. I thought that's really, really good. Growing up, I was raised at an early age by my mom and my grandmother, and I didn't really have a male figure in my life until my stepdad came into our lives. I think I was probably around 10 or 11 at that time, and so without a male figure, and so my dad left when I was about 3. My mom's dad, so granddad, passed away before I was born, and my dad's dad, I didn't really know, and so I did not have a male figure in my life, and so what I did was I would actually watch men and how they interacted with culture and society and the people around them, but especially with their families. And there's something that I noticed. I noticed that there were some men, they were well respected and highly honored in the community, but then they were feared and really disliked within their own homes. I saw some individuals who weren't respected in their homes or in the community. And then I noticed that there were a few who were respected in both the community and in the home. The people in the community honored them, and at the same time, their kids actually wanted to be around them. And one of those people that I took notice of was a football coach, was Coach D. Coach D was somebody that I noticed that people respected in the community. He had the respect of his children. The children wanted to be around him. And in fact, if you grab my book, he wrote the foreword to this book. And so Coach D, he was my high school football coach, highly respected by all. He had a peaceful, kind demeanor about him. And you could just tell that he truly cared about people and truly cared about bringing out the best in other people. Well, in middle school one day, okay, y'all, in middle school, I was in the middle school cafeteria and this fight broke out. And this fight broke out, and you know how it is whenever a fight breaks out and young kids, like, it's chaos because you got all the kids that they are cheering on and they're just agging it on. And so, I mean, there was corn, there was mashed potatoes, there was weave going everywhere, you know what I mean? Like hair weave flying everywhere. The teachers were trying to calm down the situation, and the students were just riling it up. You know, they were really trying to get going. It was just mass chaos. But as I was standing there, I noticed there was a creak in the back door, in the back corner of the cafeteria. A door started to creak open. And there started to be these whispers began to spread throughout the cafeteria like wildfire. It's Coach D. Hey, it's Coach D. It's Coach D. And then the door swung open and Coach D stepped into the room. The man didn't say a thing, but the fighting stopped and everybody sat down. How about that? Coach D said nothing, yet stepped into the room and everybody calmed down. He walked into the room and the chaos immediately turned into silence. I was like, dang. Come on, Coach D. That's it right there, right? And I just he was simply a man that people held in high esteem. And for me, Coach D, he captures the respect of other people. And I just want to talk to you guys about some of the concepts that relate not only to this story, but really all life, starting with the reality of respect. See, there's a level of respect that you can earn from what you do and the accomplishments that you achieve. You know, if you go out and win some, if you are a winner, people will begin to respect you. However, I think there's a deeper level of respect that is given based on who you are. And we're going to talk about respect in a way that relates both to these categories. And one of the definitions of respect is a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, or achievement. The word itself comes from the Latin word respice. And so I don't know if that's how you say it, but that's the way it's spelled. You know, maybe someone who speaks Latin, comment below or send me an email or something. Maybe you can teach me how to actually say that. But here's what it means. It actually means to look back at. See, I want to carry myself in such a way that it causes people to do a double take, right? Not with the intent or simply to be noticed by others, but rather to carry myself in a certain kind of way that it causes people to say, man, there is something different about that dude right there. There's something different about that guy right there. I'm not used to seeing it in the world around me. I wonder what that is. So you are meant to be a champion. You are meant to be a champion who is different in a good way and respected by other people. So how do champions gain respect? Well, there are two realities that must first be put in place. Number one is that you got to respect other people, right? If you're going to gain respect, you got to respect other people. This angle of respect goes into my view of people. If people are projects, then I'm always going to see them as needing to be fixed. If they are objects, they will always be used for my own purposes, or if I see them as obstacles, they're always in my way. People are people of value, and we want to be men and women of value who value people. People can always tell. You can tell it. You can always tell when someone is just tolerating you or putting up with you or someone truly cares about you. At the end of the day, people may forget the things you said or some of the amazing things that you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Gaining respect includes handing it out. But I truly think the number one way to gain respect is to have respect for what you do. It's to have respect for yourself and what you do. There is a pride that comes from doing whatever you do with a level of excellence. Also, in a world of mediocrity, excellence, I'm telling you, it stands out. When you treat the seemingly insignificant as if it were important, then that's the point at which you can be trusted what's truly significant. Then maybe you've heard the little vignette about the bricklayers, right? Like there's a guy, he's walking by and he sees this one guy laying brick and he says, "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing?" And he says, "Well, I mean, what does it look like? I'm laying brick." Well, he walks around to the other corner. He sees another guy laying brick and he says, "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I mean, I'm laying brick and it's going to eventually become a wall." The man continued around the next corner. He comes around to the next corner. He sees a guy laying brick and he says, "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm laying brick, but it's going to eventually I'm eventually going to build a beautiful house that will become a home for a family." And you think about this, all three of these bricklayers, I mean, they were doing the same activity, right? They were doing the same thing, but they all had a different level of respect for the work they were putting in. In respect to the second point, I want you to think about all the individuals who you have respect for, and what you'll notice is that they all have a healthy respect of themselves. This is just me, and I see it all the time, but I truly do not think that you can gain the respect of others if you do not respect yourself. I also don't think you can fully respect others if you don't respect yourself. You cannot give what you do not have or what you are unwilling to receive. See, there are two ends of the spectrum of this topic, and on one extreme, it lies you have this arrogant person And on the other end, you have the self-deprecating person who falls into false humility. Neither one can truly gain the respect of other people. The arrogant may be feared by others, but you know what? They ain't respected. The self-deprecating one, they may have people smile at them and enjoy being around them because they're probably fun-loving, but they don't value themselves, so other people have a hard time extending respect towards them. True respect is located between these opposing points. It does not allow itself to be looked down upon, but it also does not look down upon others. When I think about the attributes of champions, another attribute I think is honor. Honor is defined as a great respect, esteem, or reverence received. It's gained or is enjoyed by a person or thing. Glory, renown, fame, reputation. It's a good name. It comes from the Latin word honos, meaning esteem or repute. See, champions give honor to whom honor is due. To honor a person is to give recognition and bring awareness to the gifts, the talents, and achievements of somebody else. And you know what? This in no way takes away from me or anyone else. Like when our kids were little, we would give one of our kids a compliment, and then immediately the other two would chime in. But did you see this? Did you see what I did? What about me? Right? And then we would have to explain to them that a compliment to their sibling, it didn't take anything away from them, and that we were simply honoring and encouraging the other sibling in that moment. As champions and as leaders of champions, look, we want to create a culture of honor where we catch people doing what is right and then call them out on it. The common thing to do is catch people doing what's wrong and to gossip about it. We do want to extend correction when it's called for, but most people are not used to receiving honor. I think another way to say it is that champions don't talk about people behind their backs. They brag about people behind their backs. So you can choose to tear people down in roundabout ways through gossip or beating around the bush, or even through direct means such as sending out destructive criticism, or you can choose to build people up. You can choose to encourage people. You can choose to challenge and to cheer them on. Champions build people up. You can't necessarily stop the critics from criticizing or the toxic from tearing others down, but neither of those roles represent who you are. You, my friend, are a champion. I think about this. A great example of this in real life is from an article I found in Harvard Business Review. And they were covering some highlights from research that was carried out on the subject of giving compliments. This article that I'm talking about, it mentioned several interesting aspects observed in the study, which included underestimating on the complimenter's part, the positive impact that the compliment would give on the recipient, overestimating, again, on the complimenter's part, the effect of awkwardness that receiving the compliment would have on the recipient. And then when people wrote down a compliment for someone else, only around 50% followed through with giving it to the recipient. What I'm trying to say is I think many times we have admirable thoughts about someone else, but they simply stay as a thought and we never actually speak that to the individual. I was at a conference one time and I heard this, I think is Chris Hodges. He's got multiple churches all over the place in Alabama, and he's got all these campuses. And what he noticed was that there, in 2 or 3 of these campuses, that there was a lot of leaders rising up and a lot more volunteers rising up in these campuses compared to his other ones. And so what they did was they started to do this internal audit of like, man, what's going on here? And what they found, there was only one thing that was different from these 2 or 3 campuses compared to all the other ones. They had the same programs, the same process, same system. And what they found was that the leaders were speaking the good that they saw in the individuals. Like when they saw someone say, wow, you are creative. You know what, man, you do such a good job at handling people. You do such a good job of connecting with people. Like they spoke what it was that they saw. That was the only thing that was different about these campuses from all the other ones. And these 2 or 3 campuses were actually producing more volunteers. They were producing more leaders. And I just think many times as leaders, what we do is we think about the compliment, but we never speak it to the individual. When we speak and honor others, many times the individual on the receiving end, they're encouraged to not only keep going, but also to keep getting better. It encourages them to step into who they were meant to be. And culture likes to label people based on their biggest mistake. Culture likes to label you based on that thing you did back in high school, or that thing you regret, or maybe that thing you did last week, right? Culture likes to label you with the wrong. Like, we are inundated with words and images and messages that subtly and sometimes not so subtly tell us how we do not measure up. And y'all, I want to tell you, that is a lie. It is a lie that needs to be countered with the truth that we have the power to extend for the sake of others' encouragement and understanding of how valuable they are and their abilities. Let me just put it to you simply. It is in our best interest to be men and women of honor who outdo one another in honor. Hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Cory Lee Show. Y'all, I am on a mission to build leaders and to transform culture. So if you're looking for a speaker who speaks directly to the heart, a mentor to come alongside you and your team, or if you're in a position where you're looking for a personal coach who embraces where you are and also believes in who you could become, then I would be honored to walk this path with you. Simply reach out to me on my email at Cory@CoryLeeLeadership.com. Look, let's make your vision a reality. Contact me and together we'll navigate the path from aspiration to achievement. Your transformation, it starts now. See, there's also an interesting principle in the Bible that relates to this. Jesus said, "He who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. He who receives a righteous man in the name of a righteous man will receive a righteous man reward." And that's in Matthew 10:41. What he's saying here, there is a gifting on the life of someone else. And if I can position myself as a student to learn from them, then I can actually receive the gift that is on that person's life. I can position myself in such a way that I can receive value from them. If I will posture my heart towards honoring them and what they carry, I can actually receive what it is that they carry. When I think about attributes of a champion, another one is valor. Y'all, I'm about to share what this is one of my favorite parts in the whole book right here. This right here, all right, coming up. I hope I haven't teed it up too much for you, and it's a letdown. But y'all, to me, this is one of my favorite parts of the whole book right here. But valor, it is defined by one dictionary as strength of mind, spirit, or strength of spirit that enables a person to encounter danger with firmness. I found another definition of it. It kind of says the same thing. It's slightly different, but it says courage or bravery. The term valor is from the Latin word valere, which means to be brave. Most people, they like the thought of victory, and they're willing to take action towards seeing victory obtained until a risk gets introduced into the equation. When things are all fun and games or when the stakes are low, many people are willing to be involved, but when it begins to cost something, the numbers start to dwindle rather quickly. You know what? They dwindle even further when the price required is all or nothing. See, it is an act of valor to give everything you've got for a cause, to put forth all of your creativity, all of your energy, and all of your emotions, to take all your chips and push them to the center. Y'all, that is high risk and a price that the majority are just unwilling to pay. But man, I think about, but why? Like, why do we hold back? Why do we just give bits and pieces of ourselves? I think it's due to fear. See, we fear giving our all and then our all not being enough. What if I go all in and then the outcome is disappointment? Like, what if I step out and get criticized? What if my reputation or my resume takes a hit? What if? Isn't it interesting that most of our what ifs are framed in the negative rather than the positive? The very nature of fear is a tendency to operate on the basis of a bad or even worse possibility. Fear is arguably one of the most potent enemies we have in life because it doesn't mind interrupting anything we are meant to do or to be. It doesn't respect boundaries. It never knocks on the front door or rings the bell before coming on in. It doesn't even tell you when it's coming, see, and that makes fear a force to be reckoned with. But the difference between the average person and the go-getter, the excuse maker and the champion, is that the latter in those situations reckons with fear. The former in those situations is set on self-preservation, on doing just enough to get by without ever losing anything or risking everything, which is fear's never-ending carrot on the stick model, right? It promises more, but it leads to less. I want to balance this with a little bit. There is wisdom and discernment needed when it comes to decision making for sure. But I think many times we allow our claim of trying to be wise as a cover-up for our timidity. And with timidity, we refuse to put much more than a toe in the water. See, the problem with that is with just partially going in when real excellence is required, is that we still have our props and our excuses. See, outwardly we can say, well, at least I tried. At least I stepped out of the boat. At least I didn't lose it all. But you know what? You'll never know for sure if we could have made it to the other side. See, inwardly, we're started to brick up what is meant to be free, active and fruitful in our lives. And the more often that we use those reasons, those excuses, to not push ourselves, the easier it becomes to turn them, keep turning to them. And then eventually one day, excellence is no longer nearby and a reach away or a step from us. It is far away and deeply hidden from sight, buried beneath the many times we chose only to give just enough. Now, I know that when we think of an act of valor, we typically think of someone who went all in, risking their lives to save someone else, whether that's in combat or an emergent situation or otherwise. And I truly do believe those are scenarios, and it is an act of valor for sure. But it's also an act of valor to go all in on your life. It is an act of valor to go all in on your life. What if you went all in on your key relationships, even to the point of risking disappointment because you fully exposed yourself? Like, what if you went all in on that dream stirring within you? What if you went all in on the 80 plus or minus years that you have to make every single day count? To see what is possible with the life that you have been given to live? My friends, that is an act of valor. When I think about the attributes of a champion, I think of just a couple more. I think of nobility and legacy. And nobility is defined as the quality of being noble in character, especially the quality of having high moral principles or ideals. It is from the word nobilite, meaning honor, renown, majestic grandeur, and quality of being excellent or rare. I like that. I like that last piece, or rare. I like that. I tell our kids, they talk about being weird, or somebody says, you weird. I was like, you know what? There ain't nothing wrong with being weird. Come on. I'd rather be weird. Why be like everybody else? I like what old Dr. Seuss says. Why fit in when you were made to stand out, right? See, in society that loves to compare, many of us would rather blend in and look like the crowd rather than stand out and to be a rare one. What's interesting is that we're already set apart. You are unique and you are one of a kind. God ain't never been, you know what? He ain't never created anyone exactly like you, and there never will be anyone exactly like you. Creation has never witnessed anything quite like you before. Stop following the masses. Stop trying to blend in. My cousin, Bruce Lee, no, that's not my cousin, but hey, you know what? The last name goes with it. Bruce Lee, he said it this way: always be yourself, express yourself, have faith in yourself, and do not go out and look for a successful personality and try to duplicate it. See, I agree with his quote. Generally speaking, I do have one piece of caution regarding that, though, and that is that we can take this mindset to the extreme and become a little conceited, but nobody likes an arrogant and prideful person, top of their game or not, right? What I'm saying is that to see yourself as valuable and that your body is valuable, your mind is valuable, your heart is valuable, so treat it as valuable. by guarding what you give it to and who you give it to or what has access to it through your eye gates and through your ear gates. You have a right to not follow the crowd into what is not excellent, what is not right, and what is not healthy or good. You have, through your distinct identity that's distinct from everyone else, an equal opportunity to pass go and to collect $200, whether anyone around you chooses to or not. You have the ability and the calling to be the best you that you can be. And so do it with confidence, right? And think about this, right? At our house, we got some fancy plates, some fancy cups and dishes that we only use for very special occasions. Typically moments of celebration or when we host guests. But at our house, we also have paper plates, paper cups, paper dishes, plastic spoons, knives and forks, all that stuff. And they are common. And when we are finished using them, we simply throw it away. They serve their purpose, so we just move on. In contrast, we don't move on from the fancy ones. We wash them, we take good care of them, we put them away in a cabinet to protect them because they're valuable. We treat them with the value that they represent. Nobility is to see yourself as a person of value who values others. When you value yourself, you will not allow yourself to be mistreated. You will not put yourself in dirty environments. You protect and take good care of your physical body, your soul, and your spirit. When you walk in nobility, it allows you to treat others the way that you treat yourself, in a good way, not a destructive way. Last one, when I think about attributes of a champion, is legacy. So one of my favorite values, my number one value is legacy. Legacy is something to be passed on, a tangible or intangible thing handed down by a predecessor, and it's got a long-lasting effect of an event or process. The word comes from the Latin word legave, which originally meant ambassador or an envoy. See, champions do not live for themselves. They think generationally. They look for ways to build up, equip, and empower those coming behind them. They look for those who they can pass the baton on to, that next generation of champions who can take the foundation that was laid and run further, run faster, build bigger, build higher. Champions say, follow me, then take this and keep on running. Champions also know that the only way that they have a right to say, follow me, is to be someone worth following. I was leading this mastermind group one time, and I may have even shared this in some of our podcasts before. It just reminds me of the importance of this. I was doing this mastermind group with a lot of these were physical therapy owners, and they were looking for that next phase. They were looking for succession planning. And they were looking for someone in their organization to step up that they could hand the business off to. But they kept having a hard time, and they were going around sharing about, man, they just don't know what it's like to be the first one here and the last one to leave. They don't know what it's like to beat on doctors' doors and to try to get referrals. They don't know what it's like to have the fear of maybe missing payroll. These people just don't know what it's like. And as they were going around telling this, I was like, man, I know exactly what that's like. Yeah, I feel you on that, right? And well, there was this young lady, she was in the group, and she said, I would like to give you guys a different perspective on that. And she said, my mom just handed the business off to me, and we were having the same exact conversation. My mom told me, she's like, you just don't know what it's like to be the first one here and the last to leave. You don't know what it's like to knock on every doctor's door in the 30 to 45 mile radius. You don't know what it's like to have the fear of not being able to make payroll. And she said something very profound. She said, Mom, I really appreciate all your effort. I appreciate all the work that you've done. I appreciate everything that you've done to get us to this point. I appreciate that the long hours, the stress that you've put in. But Mom, you have got us up to this point. And the challenges that you faced, I hope I never have to face. I hope we never have to worry about making payroll. But Mom, our challenge is not about making payroll, but how do we go from 2 clinics to 5 clinics, from 5 clinics to 10 clinics? And I thought that was just so profound because it was legacy laid out, right? This mom, her perspective was that her daughter didn't understand what all she went through. But basically what she did was built a foundation that her daughter could build upon. And her daughter, she ain't got to go back and try to lay that foundation. That is legacy laid out. We should run our lives being all in, laying a foundation that empowers the next generation to carry on the work that we have established. The challenges that we face or that we may face by those following in our footsteps, they will be different from the challenges we face. And that's a good thing, right? They should not have to go back and lay a foundation again. They should be equipped to build higher, to build bigger, to build better, and to run further and to run faster. And that, you know what? That's thanks to all those that have gone before them. And so when I think about the attributes of a champion, those are some of the ones I think about. You know what? I'd love to hear from you. When you think about someone who is a champion, and I'm talking about the inner game. When you think about someone who's a champion, what comes to mind for you? And so I hope today has added value to you. I hope it has encouraged you. I hope you got at least one thing that you can take and you can apply to make an impact in your life, your business, your family, and your community. And hey, if you would like a physical copy of my book, Champion, you can get that on Amazon. You can get that on my website. And my website, it's coryleeleadership.com/champion. You can get that there. And by the way, for those that listen to the podcast, you can go to my website, and when you check out on the website, enter the code THANKS, THANKS, and you should be able to get a 10% discount on that book there. And so, hey, I hope today has encouraged you and inspired you. I hope you got one thing, like I said. And make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with any of the latest episodes of The Cory Lee Show. Feel free to share this with a friend or family member. We'd love to get the message out to encourage and inspire other people. And so appreciate you guys. Hope you have an awesome day, and God bless.
3, 2, 1. Okay.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope I have added value to you. And if you have found value in this episode, let me know. Drop a comment and make sure you share with a friend or family member. See you next episode.